First of all, group hugs. Yeah. I just want to say welcome to our episode here. You know, we love the fact that we're here in Ajyal covering every talented person we get a chance to sit down with, especially like Ibrahim. I'll tell you more about him and he will tell us more about him. And he decided to join me finally after a long day of hard work and labor.
Saving the world.
Saving the world.
And then on my part-time job, I podcast.
You podcast for a living. Ibrahim, man.
Hi.
Big shout outs to you.
Say again?
Big shout outs to you. Like hello.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. It's the slang, homie. It's the slang. We like the slang.
Yeah, mate. Yeah,
we like the slang from time to time. So tell us about you, man. So before we go to your movie, what about you? Who's Ibrahim?
Okay, Ibrahim. I'm a 28 years old documentary filmmaker at the moment. Not really yet a documentary filmmaker. So
Okay.
since I'm studying, but I've been working in the field of media for the past 7 years.
Okay.
After the Egyptian revolution, I was one of the people who were working on social media when it started to hit, and we were doing like a lot of videos online, and we get like, you do a small video and you get like 500,000 view and this kind of things.
Yeah.
There's no technicalities, there's nothing, but there's just a feeling behind it, and you get even the big actors wanting to
Be a part of
be
it?
with us. And I go actually they were like a group of big actors. I don't know if you guys know them. They did the movie Samir Shahir Bahir. So
Yes.
these guys they were really great and amazing. They helped us a lot. Hisham and Chico and Fahmi, they helped us a lot, and they were like, we produced with them 2 episodes online, which added a lot to us. Especially that they were telling us, oh no, you don't do this like that, you do it like this. You don't do it like this, you don't do it like
So
that.
they're throwing some tips in here and there, yeah?
And also they believed in us. They said, you guys are great. You're
Yeah.
gonna be doing something great. So after the coup happened, we all had
Left
to
Egypt, yeah?
had to face the fact that we better leave Egypt. So I myself, I wasn't forced to leave, but I decided I was like, the company isn't doing good anymore. So like, okay.
You had your own company or you working?
I had my own company. It was not a really company. I had my own page on the internet. I do
Okay.
videos and I post there, and we had like.
Did you ever study
20,000
filmmaking or
followers.
something, or it was just
So
natural?
after that, so
Yeah.
I started like that. That was like the practice for me, and then after
Yeah.
that I started.
What's your
studying
field original? What did you study?
Pharmacy.
Pharmacy?
Yeah, I'm a pharmacist.
You got a pharmacist here.
We have a pharmacist here, you know. Now you have a different way of treating people, no?
That's a good way to look at it. I never saw it that way.
That's a good way,
That's
actually.
a good way to look at it.
Or you have a different
It's like
type of drug, right?
Yeah.
Different kind of codeine, basically.
Okay, let's call it that.
But yeah, you have a lot of questions, I'm sure, about the revolution, since you always never shut up about it.
Oh, I never shut up about any revolution, and even the rock and roll revolution.
Yeah.
Ibrahim, tell us more about the transformation you had, you know, before starting filming, and you said that there is a lot of exposure that you have, a lot of views on YouTube, people want to collab. What is the thing that made you want to continue? Because there's a lot of people who had a one-hit wonder, and there's people who had made actually good movies but never wanted to say, I want to be a filmmaker. So what are...
Okay, let's start from the beginning. When I was studying pharmacy, I never thought that this is what I should be. First of all, before that even, when I was a kid, I was this kind of kid who stands in front of the mirror and say the anchoring for the news, or saying football commentaries. I was doing the whole matches. I can act like the whole Egyptians ones, like kora kamila wapa yan harabi, this kind of things.
Yeah.
So I had my whole childhood like that. I was a football player as well.
You look like one, actually.
And yeah,
Doesn't
I was
he
a
look like
professional football
I
player.
think the hair is very popular since
I played in Al Ahly for a bit,
Really?
and I got injured in my back, and I couldn't continue. So my dream as a footballer was done when I was 17. I wanted to go to media from the beginning,
That
but
must have depressed you, huh?
yeah, I got like 2 years of horrible life after that, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I passed it, and then I wanted to be a filmmaker from the beginning. Go to study film, but my dad was like, "Your brother is a photographer. I'm not gonna have a photographer and a filmmaker." You know, like you are a nerd, so you better be something good. So I was like, "Yeah,
Especially
I'm
because
good."
Arab families, they think photographers don't really make
And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good in chemistry. I will do pharmacy." And I did pharmacy, and I was like a B plus student.
Okay.
I worked as a teaching assistant after graduation for a semester.
Okay.
So, can you imagine me with the coat, standing and giving sessions for the kids?
No, actually, I can't.
Yeah,
It's fine, we do all that. It's
I
fine.
can imagine you hooking us up with the best drug, you know, with this afro.
You look like a laboratory genius.
I was
the one who always has a good mix, for everybody.
People with a lot of hair can actually fit in so many categories, like football players, like a mad scientist, and also a director. Hipster. I hate it, Bill.
I live in Berlin.
So I dislike it.
I live in Berlin, guys. So it's a pure hipster thing.
So we meet a lot of few people who are from the filmmaking industry in Berlin. So how is it like?
I just moved there 2 months ago. I'm not gonna act like I know everything there.
You're not gonna go all Arab on us, right?
No, I don't know anything, guys, there yet.
Just sit there and pretend they know the whole place.
No, I don't know anything yet. But I did 2 movies since I've been there. And the thing that I would say that is good, that they want to see different things. And I did a movie about an Arabic singer who lives there. His name is Abdullah, and it's under the process of trying to see what will happen with
it. Arab singer who's located in Germany?
No, he's located in Germany. He was a refugee. He was a refugee from Syria. He went to Berlin, and he started to sing through the road. And once he arrived to Berlin, he arrived as a singer. He was never a singer when he was in Syria.
He sings in Arabic?
He sings old Arabic music, like Ya Musafir Wahdak, this kind of songs. So I met him, and we did like a short film about him. And when I showed it to the people at my school, I'm studying now in Met Film School in Berlin.
What's the name?
Met Film School. It's a British school, but it's based in Berlin. Yeah. So they were really happy to see it. They were really like, we don't watch these things. We're not exposed to this part of the world. So you're showing us different stories. We don't look at this as like a refugee. We look at it as it's a successful story. So it was really good for me to know that I can do something different. Because if you go there and you do whatever everyone is doing, you get lost.
Yeah.
And if I want to compare myself to those who are doing like great movies about the underground or whatever life of Berlin, then
it's pretty common.
It's pretty common. Plus, you get a lot of competition. You're not going to be great if you stick to who you are and who you want. What do you want to say? Then you might be different. But if you want to go with the flow, then you're one of millions. You're
one of the millions. So, Ibrahim Nashat, also you have a very good resume of filming with great minds. Meeting great strategists, analysts, people who are a piece of history. So, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, for the past 5 years, I used to work in Al Jazeera. I just resigned 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's a big step, because not a lot of people are trying to get into Al Jazeera, and then you resign. You know what I mean?
Some people call me crazy, but I'm happy with it.
No, it's people who quit MIT and Harvard are the ones who make it.
Which are you guys?
You said 6 years from Oscars.
Yeah, it's 6 years, so I needed to quit.
How many Drake albums is that?
Well, I think there will be maybe 4 Drake albums.
4 more Drake albums.
Two of them will not make it, and then his Oscar will come.
And then we'll be back happy again.
So it's.
But you're following a dream. Look, not to cut you off, but this is what we do in the podcast. We do like to cut people off. Actually today, because sitting around for the past 3 days, and then you meet a lot of people with so many passionate things, right? And for you to actually take this step, and I'm not complimenting, I'm being real as it is, because in this podcast we're raw and real as it is. For you to actually take such a big step, to believe in yourself, to quit from a really good job, and then you're like, you know what, I can do better. I'm a producer. I'm gonna go run away and do my thing, right? That's a big step. That's a big step.
I will tell you something. This movie, the one that I'm presenting in here, and this is what I said yesterday in the Q&A as well. It's called A Moment with the Wind. It's about a guy who did the same.
Yeah.
He used to be a petroleum engineer in Shell, which is something so big, and he's no longer working on site. He works in the office, so it's a great, relaxed, amazing job that he's just like calculating. Like he's a boss.
Yeah.
And he decided to leave to follow his passion as a surf gear distributor.
Okay.
So he distributes gears for kite in Qatar and in Egypt, and he did a big plan. He stayed for 8 years following this passion, and after 8 years of having the plan, he achieved his goal of skipping his job and going there. And when I met Omar, I was in the process of wanting to skip my job as well. So I was like, okay, this worked perfectly. I will do this movie because it's something I believe in, and I will not be spreading a message, please follow your passion, while I'm doing something different. So
Because sometimes passion just doesn't pay the bills, right?
yeah, it doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
But if you plan it, then it will pay the bills.
No, but I think you're doing fine with your a nice shirt, nice hair,
Yeah, but
nice shoes.
this is all when I was still working in Al Jazeera. I haven't bought any of that after resigning. But it's I did it before when I left pharmacy and I came to work as a filmmaker, and I'm doing it again now to keep going. I got the technical knowledge that I wanted. I studied enough, and it's time to take 1 year off just to try to create something to see what will happen.
So what kind of documentaries are you into? I know there's different types of documentaries.
There's a lot of types of documentary. I'm nearly in the ones that they look kind of like fiction.
Okay.
But they are documentaries. So
Is there a name for it?
no, the
Documentary fiction documentary?
yeah, some people they call it, some might call it docudrama, but if you're gonna act, but I don't make the people act, I just
Let them naturally be there.
Yeah, naturally be there, but I try to take as much footage as I can so it looks like cinema. I have to have like a script for it from the beginning. I don't just go film and then I see in the edit. I have a movie that is written from the beginning, and I actually write a script, and then I find the person who actually meets this person that I wrote. It's not the other way around. It's not I met you and then you're interesting. Let's do a movie.
Yeah.
I have an idea of a person in my mind, and I keep waiting until I find this person who looks like this
Amazing.
fiction character in my
Yes.
head.
Yeah.
So Omar was this character that I found because he represents what I wanted to do in a different way. So I don't want to do a movie about myself. Most of the filmmakers, they will just do a movie about themselves, and it was so easy. I'm resigning from Al Jazeera. There is a lot of things happening. There is a lot of change. It's easy to do a movie about myself, but it's hard to do it about someone else, which creates a real documentary filmmaker.
That's amazing. And if you ever think about characters of two people trying to change the world using a podcast,
I mean, think about it.
We're
Good material.
I mean, if you ever think about this,
I'm available on Wednesdays, Tuesdays, and also Thursdays. All day. No lie.
Now, when you guys come to Berlin, I will be waiting
I
for
don't
you.
think Ghanaians, Palestinian, I'm Sudanese. It's hard for us to get visa, right?
No, man.
I think we can get in
You live
the
in
same way
Qatar.
they got in.
You live in Qatar. It's easy.
We gotta work it out, eh?
Yeah, we gotta work it out.
What's your favorite color?
What's the favorite color? It's, I don't know. It's the color of money.
No visa for it.
What's the color of money, guys?
The color of the visa.
It's green, yeah. So, okay, well, we crack jokes from time to time. So loosen up. All right. So a moment with the wind. I've actually, just for your information, I've studied mass communication, and I had to do a couple of documentaries. I'm not a fan of documentaries. I like watching them, but not making them.
Yeah.
Right? So for me to follow someone around the whole day and carry a camera, and then you have to work with their time frame, not your time frame. That must be exhausting, right?
Yeah, but it's more exhausting to be working with actors who wants to change everything, working with a producer who wants to fit everything to the budget, to work with the personality of the actor who cannot really look like the fiction in your head, or who cannot really meet the needs. I started with the fiction. I did half a movie. I didn't complete it.
Yeah.
I did half a movie. I started with it and I just stopped. I filmed. It was meant to be a short with 4 days of filming. I filmed only 2 days. I sat and I watched the material. I deleted them.
You didn't like it? Huh?
I deleted it.
Oof.
So it's like there is no coming back.
No one has an access to it. I just sat. This is something I won't say I regret, but it was stupid. It was stupid. I should have continued the movie, but I won't regret something. I won't regret anything that I've done. But I deleted it. I said I don't want to work with actors.
Yeah.
I don't want to have a great story, a great scene, and then someone who doesn't really know how to act the way I want. Although those actors that were acting in my movie are big names now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
So you're the one in the movie who wasted his chance of having a great actor
Yeah.
in
You
his
know
movie. No, but I think
You live and learn.
They-
You live and learn.
So no, I wasn't.
learn.
I'm not a great actor director. I cannot direct the actor.
Yeah.
I have to be realistic. I can watch people doing something real and then I capture this moment. This is something I hope I can master, but I don't want to master directing people.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how you explain the connection between yourself and everything you want to produce. So you've seen something that you do want to show the world, or doesn't reflect what you want to show the world. So you cut the whole rope and start over.
Yeah.
This is amazing. We showed us a video before the podcast of you playing piano in a presidential palace.
Can you tell us whose palace was that?
It was the palace of the Prime Minister at the moment, Mahathir Mohamad. It was his it's not the presidential palace itself. It's his the place where he runs the government.
Yeah. The governmental palace. Basically.
Yeah, Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was in the morning. We go earlier before the people, so they come at 8 in the morning. We go at 7 to prepare the setup before everybody
This
comes.
is part of your previous job at Al Jazeera?
As a piano, no, I'm a horrible pianist, but I can play like 2 or 3 things. I started learning piano a year ago.
Okay.
So getting the chance to have a grand piano, it was the first time I ever played on a grand piano, and it was in front of me in this moment is a great place, and I was like, okay, I will try, and I tried, and it went good. And it was good.
Not to cut you off.
Went good for like a minute that I just told
It's
you,
good.
20
Sometimes
seconds.
we just want to learn the first few steps that impresses the girls.
And that's
then,
it.
I'm a long-time pianist, but you know.
I lost my skills.
Yeah.
No, I started. It's gonna be funny, but I started piano a year ago. I said I wanted to start doing piano because when I get old, I need to have something that I do on my own when I'm alone.
How about cats?
I don't want to keep doing this to a cat, but I want to keep playing piano, and then I hear something better coming out of my hand every time, and it's also practice for the fingers and for the memory and everything.
It's nice.
That's a nice thing. You know what? When he told me that he used to work for, which is in Arabic called Shahad al-Asr.
Yeah, Witness on Century.
Witness on Century. Thank you for translating that. Actually, it took me a minute to figure out what's the translation. It's a really big show, and it documents historical, political figures, thinkers, writers that helped shape the Middle East and also societies, not just in the Middle East, but also throughout the Islamic, countries. Such big names like Turabi, Mansur al-Marzouqi, and also Mahathir Mohamad. And so many big names. Also, Begovic was on the show.
Yeah, I did Begovic as well.
You did Begovic? Well, I'm a big fan of Begovic, actually.
He's amazing. He's a great person. I met him more than once, and we had conversations. We ate together. He's really nice.
Can you tell us a bit about him? What did you conversate about?
He's the least arrogant person I could ever meet in this place. He comes, he speaks to us in Arabic. He
knows Arabic.
He knows Arabic, and he tries to practice his Arabic with us. So if you are a president, you won't go to a kid like me and then try to practice your Arabic, but then he tries to practice his Arabic, and he's really friendly.
Yeah.
He was great, and also the show did a pretty good effect.
True.
Yeah.
He's a genius.
He is a genius.
Have you read any of his books?
No, I didn't read any of his books, but I did for a 15-hour program about him, so it's kind of
that's pretty enough. I mean, not
and
every,
I edited,
you
so
edited
I know the episodes bit by bit. I edit, I add the archive.
I mean, he's more
and
privileged
everything.
than I am. I mean, he met him.
yeah.
I read a book, right? And I bought it from
So meeting this handful of influencers and legendary life changers or history
Figures,
changes
yeah.
made you who you are right now. So what is the influences that you got from each different personality that you grow up?
I grew up. I was a kid. I joined my job as a kid. I'm still
Growing up.
partially a kid. Definitely, you have to keep growing up. But I think this job taught me how to be representative. And actually, my manager is the main reason behind that. His name is Muhammad Al-Banna. I hope he's watching us now. I don't think so, but if he is,
Big shout out.
I'd like
Well,
to thank
if
him.
he's not following I Heart Doha podcast, then he's losing a lot of good material.
He will be. I will take him to what second is that, and I will show him. I said your name. So no,
Well, if you're not following I Heart Doha podcast, you just missed a great story.
He believed in me when I was doing an ordinary job in Al Jazeera, and then he said you can do something, and then he took me, started to work with him, and then we created like a really good team, and now he's like my older brother or my mentor. I ask him about anything. We're really good. Like when I got the invitations to the movie, he was one of them.
Yeah. Wallahi, ya akhi, that's made me speak in Arabic. That's quite a story, to be honest. I'm not lying to you. You know,
Yeah.
being young in your early 20s and meeting so many, important figures and learning from them. That's a very special thing. Not a lot of people get a chance to do that.
No, not a lot of people get a chance to do that. But there was a limit for me for that, because I meet those people. I create this program, and it was really. It added a lot to my information. I'm not a big reader, so this was adding a lot. I have a lot of knowledge about what is happening around us. I met presidents, vice presidents, important people. They added a lot to my personality. Definitely, they made me have a seriousness in my life, and I need to work on myself. And I'm not gonna go like whatever. Let's enjoy the life, and that's it. But there was a time for me to say, do you want to continue? Like, do you see yourself as the director of this program after 5 years, or no, I don't want to be the director of this program. I want to be a documentary filmmaker.
Yeah.
Okay, then after 5 years, will staying here help you doing that? Then no, then it's time to move on.
Yeah.
You reach the maximum that you can get here. It's time to move on to something new.
That's a lot of decisions young teenagers actually need to make, because sometimes you could be in a place that, for example, it's not a bad place, but it just doesn't fulfill the passion that you want, the dream that you want to achieve. So you need to, look at yourself in the mirror, or just look at yourself in a selfie. It doesn't matter. And
a mirror is better.
A mirror is better. Yeah. It feels deeper, right?
Yeah.
So just sit there and look in the mirror, especially in the bathroom. It's always deeper about that. And make a decision. Like sometimes you just need to chase your dream. Yeah, you need to make rush decisions, right? Like you can calculate them, sit and plan them, but also make a decision. Don't stall your life if you're not happy, right?
Yeah, I heard the podcast started about how to be happy,
Truly, yeah.
Now we are chasing people who are chasing this purpose, and
the pursuit of happiness throughout a podcast.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies.
Yes,
Really,
it's an
the pursuit of
amazing movie.
It's one of my favorite. It's like one of the movies I watch. Like let's say I watch it not less than 50 times.
Okay.
Well, the only movie I watched more than 50 times is School of Rock.
Ah, no.
By Jack Black. Because I'm a guitarist. And
We are a bit different, my friend.
He's a pianist, man. You're too noisy for him.
No, I'm not a pianist. I am.
You have the symptoms of a pianist.
I think I will look nice when I play in the piano, but what you were here is not. It's not coming from a pianist.
Give yourself 2 more years, man, and you're gonna be drowning in. Let me tell you the words after the podcast. You talked about your Hollywood influences.
Yeah.
And you said Tom Hanks is your favorite
Tom Hanks
actor, director. So what about Tom Hanks that you find so special?
What I found about him that before I even start thinking about anything, I wasn't this kind of kid who was walking around with the camera. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's like I was a filmmaker since I was 5 years. I had the camera with me. I never held the camera before 2011 properly.
Yeah.
2011 in the revolution was the first time I held the camera. I was like, what must I do here?
Yeah.
And people were telling me what to do. So before that, I wasn't a documentary filmmaker, but I was an imaginary kid. I could sit in my room for like 5 hours, doing nothing but sitting on my bed, creating stories, having imaginary friends, and have a lot of life inside my head. So
Are you sober?
So completely sober.
Yeah.
Well, Ahmed, some people can't crack jokes.
I had an imaginary friend for like 5 or 6 years. Her name was Zina.
And so it's a girl.
She was a girl, and she wasn't a girlfriend. She was just a friend.
Just a friend.
And she was like, okay, now it's time for you to go talk to this girl. Come on, man, go do it. I had it for like 6 years.
So even in your imaginary friend, you were stuck in the friend zone, huh?
No, if you have an imaginary friend as a girlfriend, then you get to be stuck with her. You will never meet a real one.
I'm sorry, it just sounded so funny in my head. I had to say it,
And that's friend zone number 999. You ain't coming out of that friend zone. That's automatically promoting you to the sibling zone. You know what I mean? That's like, you're my brother.
You're like, go to talk to Darka. Well, I'm in love with you. No,
I'm not. I was never in love with her.
But it's an amazing thing to mention, actually.
Sure.
Yeah, but this is the reason I think why creating things is quite easy, because this was happening in my head. It's not a hard thing.
Just give me a minute to check on the camera.
Yeah.
So you were saying, and that's how you said that you imagine things in your head, and sometimes when you feel that you met someone that resembles that character that you were creating in your head, so you think there's a connection between creating characters and then finding them in real life.
Yeah, Omar was a character that I met through. The movie was meant to be about kitesurfing in general in Doha, and I started with 5 characters. I filmed more than 18 hours with them, plus Omar. And I really want to thank them for being super nice and understandable, because I really filmed with them a lot. Kite surfing, I filmed them interviews, I found them at their places. I have a material that is enough to make the documentary about kite surfing with them. But then I met Omar, and I was like, this is a story that resembles what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
This is what I'm looking for. Once he told me his story, this is the exact story that my mind is looking for at the moment, because it will help me get out of here. And also when I met Abdullah, the one that I filmed in Berlin. I met him through the internet, because online I was searching for an exact person that is very close to who he is, and I found him, and I texted him, man, I want to film with you. And when I told him that I have this imaginary friend in my mind, imaginary person in my mind for him, and I told him the story of that person, and always the reality kicks what you have in your mind. This is what's better for me in documentaries than fiction.
Yeah.
That reality kicks better. So I have an idea of a podcast to have it, and I have a conversation, and I write a script, and then the script will be 10% of the quality of what we're having now. Because reality always is better, because in my mind I was thinking for the three of us. In reality, I think for myself only. You think for what you say, you think for what you say. So you get much richer content than the one I would write on my own. So I always believed reality is much better than creating it. I would recreate reality. Yeah, I love movies based on a true story. I'm in love with any movie that is based on a true story. But I always tell myself, I need to reach the level that I make a documentary that looks exactly like a movie based on a true story.
Okay. That's quite an ambition, and actually quite a really. How many movies did you make throughout?
4 shorts.
4 shorts.
And I've done. There was a campaign. It's called We Are Al Jazeera.
Okay.
So I've done 3 documentaries with them.
Okay.
I wasn't the director. I was the assistant director, producer, and assistant producer, and the editor for 3 movies of them. And in documentary, when you sit and you edit, you get to be a big part of the creation. And actually, I did 5. There is another movie there. 6. There are 2 movies that I was the editor for. One in Berlin and one here in. It was part of Ajyal last year.
So where is your film being displayed? This one, A Moment with the Wind.
It's going to be displayed today at 5:30 in half an hour. If you guys want to run, it's not important to follow the rest.
It is
it's more important to watch the movie.
Guys.
You can watch while driving towards Novo Cinema. It's at 5:30 today. Is the last
screening.
Screening, but you guys get to have a private link.
Okay.
Yes,
To watch it because
a private YouTube link. Yeah, I would really watch.
It's about really following the passion, and I think you will guys love this. It's not about kite surfing. It's about following the passion.
You know, we did follow our passion. We didn't quit our jobs, but I gave him a call on a random night, and he told me, "What do you think about a podcast?" And I was like, "Why not? Why the hell not?" Because
You know the real story. He wanted to start a book club. I said, "I'm not gonna read books, man."
he's not a book reader.
I'm not a book reader, but I want to shift the topic about the Egyptian skills that migrate and go to, make it in Hollywood, and inshallah you will make it in Berlin. And there is lately there is a big hype about Rami Malek.
Rami is not an Egyptian.
He's an Egyptian.
Originally Egyptian.
Descent.
Yeah, it's we need to know what we're talking about. I'm not gonna keep going around. If my kid he is part of the Berlin culture, but his descent or his origin comes back to somewhere that he appreciates. Appreciating somewhere that doesn't mean that you belong to this place, that you are from this place. His personality is completely as an American character, and he says, "I'm an American filmmaker." Definitely, people will look at him and say, "No, you're not an American. You are Egyptian."
Okay.
But in reality, he's American. We won't go around and brag about we have this actor who did the Bohemian Rhapsody, and he's Egyptian, and he did Mr. Robot, which was great. And his brother is the director of Mr. Robot as well. So I don't think that I could call him as an Egyptian director or actor because they weren't there. But there are some other directors like Muhammad Diab. He is part of the judge. He was part of the jury this year in Oscars. He's an Egyptian director. He's completely Egyptian. He did a movie, won Sundance, went to big names, and hopefully soon these guys can go to Oscar before I reach there. And they are Egyptians.
They have 6 years to make it.
Yeah.
They have still 6 years,
Yes.
but they already got a big.
So what's your future for the Oscars like? Is there a certain film that you think would be qualified?
I want to tell you something. When I started, the Oscar was the biggest thing in my head. A kid dreaming, then the word Oscar pops up. I'm not gonna say that I'm not looking for the Oscar today. I have to set a goal. But if I don't get it, I will not say I wasted my life.
No, of course not. Of course not.
What I want to do is I want to do a documentary that, when you really watch it, it could change your life.
Yeah.
And you really get to have real emotions happening. I'm not a big fan of doing political documentaries. It could have a political lead, but it's not a it's a story. I want to be a storyteller.
Something passionate.
You want to impact individuals.
Yeah.
You focus on individual stories more than public or global stories.
Individual stories, definitely.
All right, thank you so much. I really hope you make it to the Oscars and we get a VIP tickets. I want to sit next to who do you want to sit next to? Monica Bellucci would be nice.
Well, I wanna, if you think, since you are a man of fantasy, so did you practice your Oscar speech?
Never.
Never. So
I will.
Give me a call. I'll definitely.
I'd like to thank Doha PodCast.
Yeah, I'd like that for believing in me and being. Actually, you guys are the first real interview I do as a fan. Like, I've done more interviews as for my previous job, for the previous job in Egypt as well. The page we had, I've been to TV channels and whatever. But this is our first interview as a filmmaker. I'm not a filmmaker yet, but
so we'll go through
this is the process.
Well, this means so much to us too. By the way.
Yeah.
Listen, we're all about the youth. Like, for just to be honest, he knows, because the reason why we.
It's alright. It's a podcast. You can answer the call if it's important.
It's important. Put it on speaker. Let's see.
Let's see the offers that you are getting.
Yeah. Maybe it's your imaginary friend. You know.
Ibrahim, and sitting outside the cafe, and they have a check with your name on it.
But what did I want to say? Like, to be honest, the point of us getting together is because we actually wanted to create a platform for the youth. People like you, like any director, any writer, anything from the Arab world, even if not from the Arab world, but they live around us, you know, which is by Uber. It won't take more than 10 minutes to get to us. It's not an issue.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm really happy.
No,
it's
really,
for me. This interview is for me. After 5 years, if I sit and I look at it, if you guys give me a link, please.
Send me a DM on Instagram.
Please. If I get to watch it after 5-10 years, I'll be look like. That was me. It's good. I had this mentality.
And you were like, these guys are really horrible.
Well, I hope you keep your good hair after 6 years.
It's getting lost from here, guys. This is the ugly truth. But as long as it goes,
you're doing well. You're doing well.
I'm doing well.
Us. I think you're doing well.
Compared to me,
you should pay attention to German technology to take care of this.
To take care of that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's an honor meeting you and having this podcast with you. It was really nice.
Thank you so much. Cut the formality. We had fun.
Come on.
Cut the formality, yeah, man. Waiting
guys.
for your secret link to watch the moment with the wind.
We'll do it now.
A moment with the wind.
Yeah, thank you guys.
شكرا يا إبراهيم.